November 2025 didn't just end. It carved souls out of the earth. 30 giants gone in the space of 6 chilling days. These weren't just names. They were earthquakes in human form. Dave Morehead died on November 25, 2025, age 82. Boston Red Sox fireballer whose one-hitter tease in '67 against Cleveland etched his name in Fenway's lore. A curveball craftsman whose grit outlasted the diamond's dust, passing peacefully after a lifetime of strikes and spares. Vane's Martirosyan died on November 23, 2025, age 39. Armenian-American Olympian boxer whose 2004 Athens silver gloves guarded dreams of glory, yielding only to skin cancer's brutal 2-year siege in the ring beyond the ropes. Jonathan Farwell died on November 22, 2025, age 93. American soap saga architect of The Young and the Restless, whose courtroom kings and family feuds wove daytime empires, felled by hip fractures, quiet complications in Colorado's twilight. Huba Czege died on November 22, 2025, age 84. Hungarian-born U.S. Army visionary whose air-land battle doctrines armored tomorrow's wars. A West Point tactician whose maneuvers reshaped maneuvers from Vietnam's shadows to global fronts, slipping away in Florida's gentle fade. Lowell Baier died on November 21, 2025, age 85. American eco-chronicler whose tomes on conservation crusades preserved wild whispers for policymakers. A farm-raised advocate whose ink guarded eagles and ancient forests alike, departing after a storied vigil for the vanishing wild. Leon Bates died on November 21, 2025, age 76. Harlem jazz piano sage whose keys conjured Gershwin's ghosts and Ellington's dreams across Carnegie's glow. A Philly prodigy whose rhythms bridged classics to soul's endless swing, silenced in the hush after a symphony of notes. Llyn Foulkes died on November 21, 2025, age 91. American avant-garde agitator whose flag-draped assemblages skewered suburbia's smug smile. A Yakima maverick whose satirical strokes mocked Mickey and mayhem till LA's final curtain, bowing out from his canvas of chaos. James F. Conway died on November 25, 2025, age 93. St. Louis steadfast mayor from '77 to '81, whose blueprint rebuilt the gateway's grit amid Rust Belt gales. A civic architect bowed by prostate cancer's unyielding claim. H. Rap Brown died on November 23, 2025, age 82. Black Power blaze as SNCC's fiery chairman, whose 67 cries scorched chains from Cambridge to prison's forge. A Baton Rouge revolutionary whose words ignited "Die, nigger, die" into history's roar, extinguished in federal care after long shadows. Alicia R. Chacón died on November 25, 2025, age 87. El Paso's border-breaking pioneer, first Mexican-American woman on city council and county judge, whose advocacy uplifted farm workers and bilingual dreams in the Rio Grande's resilient flow, fading quietly at home after trailblazing tides. Jack Shepherd died on November 24, 2025, age 85. British sleuth supreme of Wycliffe's Cornish coasts, whose introspective edge peeled society's scars in Bill Brand's halls. A Leeds polymath whose stage whispers echoed Olivier's fire, departing after a short illness in hospital's embrace. Colleen Jones died on November 25, 2025, age 65. Canadian curling queen with 6 Scotties crowns and 2 worlds, whose CBC charisma swept ice and airwaves. A Nova Scotia trailblazer silenced by cancer's frozen grip. Jill Freud died on November 24, 2025, age 98. British thespian of Love Actually's Hearth and Torchy the Battery Boy's Whims, whose wartime grace sparked C.S. Lewis's Lucy into Narnia's lion-hearted leap, slipping into eternity at 98 with a lifetime of mischief and mirth. Thomas McMahon died on November 24, 2025, age 89. Brentwood steadfast bishop from 1980 to 2014, whose Essex pastorals bridged faith's divides with quiet, unyielding grace amid ecumenism's hopeful tides, entering rest after pastoral years. Viola Fletcher died on November 24, 2025, age 111. Tulsa Massacre's enduring sentinel, whose 1921 flames forged testimony lit reparations' path at 109 before Congress, a supercentenarian's unbreakable dawn of black resilience, claimed gently in hospital after a century's witness. Sir Terence English died on November 23, 2025, age 93. South African-born heart pioneer whose Papworth transplants revived UK's first successful beat in '79, a Cape surgeon whose steady hands mended chambers from stroke shadow. Udo Kier died on November 23, 2025, age 81. German cinema's Teutonic phantom whose vampiric poise chilled Warhol's Frankenstein to Von Trier's Waves, a Cologne enigma whose 280 shadows danced from Idaho's Idols to Blade's Bite, vanishing in Palm Springs' quiet night. Skye Gingell died on November 22, 2025, age 62. Australian slow food sorceress whose Petersham blooms and spring harvests fused earth to plate, a vogue visionary dimmed by skin cancer's relentless grasp. Paul Costello died on November 21, 2025, age 80. Irish tweed titan whose emerald elegance draped Diana's grace till 97, a Dublin-designed duke whose London runways wove Celtic threads into royal legacy after a short illness in London's hush. Alan Moffat died on November 22, 2025, age 86. Canadian-Aussie racing royalty whose 4 Bathurst crowns and 101 Sandown wins blurred borders on asphalt's roar, an Alzheimer's warrior whose checkered flags flew eternal. Miriam Fairberg died on November 21, 2025, age 74. Netanyahu's coastal ironclad mayor since '98, who steered Israel's Diamond City through wars and waves with unbowed resolve, a social worker turned sentinel of 27 steadfast years after battling cancer's siege. Ian Lees died on November 23, 2025, age 65, Aussie rock bedrock for moving pictures whose bass thrummed What About Me into 80s anthemic pleas, a session sage silenced mid-tour by heart attack's sudden chord. Mike Watkins died on November 25, 2025, age 73, Welsh rugby thunder for Cardiff and Newport's 70s charges, whose hookers grit captained Wales twice in '84, a Gwent warrior felled by fall's cruel twist abroad. Guy Morenson died on November 25, 2025, age 97, French organ sovereign whose cathedral peals rolled sacred symphonies for nearly a century, a Marseille maestro whose compositions echoed Messiaen's praise in hallowed halls, ascending at dawn in his 99th year. Donal Carey died on November 25, 2025, age 88, Irish Fine Gael stalwart, Clare TD for 2 decades and Minister of State, whose council chambers amplified rural voices from Ennies to the Dale's echoing halls, after a lifetime of service in UHL's care. Pam Hogg died on November 26, 2025, age 66, Scottish punk couture rebel whose corseted visions armored Moss, Gaga, and Minogue in acid-edged armor, a Glasgow firebrand whose 80s psychedelia scorched runways till hospice's hush. Reginald Jackson died on November 25, 2025, age 71, AME Church Bishop of Georgia's 500 Souls, civil rights colossus who boycotted for Black lives from Jersey pulpits to Atlanta's streets, a Jersey City shepherd whose ecumenical fire bridged districts divine, called suddenly to higher counsel. S.H. Pat Cassapy died on November 26, 2025, age 40, Albanian pop torchbearer whose Dashni Pa Limit ballads bridged Tetovo to Tirana's stages, a Macedonian-born melody maker whose heart's sudden stutter silenced Balkan beats too soon. Ralph Menzies died on November 26, 2025, age 67. Utah's longest death row dweller since '88, whose natural fade spared the squad after 37 years shadowed appeals. A Kearns convict whose canyon crimes echoes quieted in hospital hush. Vsevolod Shalovsky died on November 26, 2025, age 87. Russian screen sage of Destiny and Jaguar, whose Moscow art theater gravitas wove Soviet shadows into post-perestroika light. A cancer-shadowed director whose two lives span stage and script. 30 Legends just taught us how to burn brighter when tomorrow isn't promised. Right now, do this so their fire never dies. Drop in the comments their number one word that sums up their spirit, whatever word hits you. Let's flood this section so hard their names trend forever. Smash like if even 1% of their courage lives in you today. Share so someone else wakes up tomorrow and chooses to live louder. Subscribe and hit the bell, because December is already writing its own brutal chapter. Your comment is their immortality. I'm reading every single one. Drop it now.